Hello and welcome to The Zach Brown Show, the show that introduces you to old friends for the first time. I'm your host, Zach Brown. On this episode, I talk with the Blue Blanket Sports Coats. We talk about the recording process of their album, More to Christmas, and our conversation right after this. The Zach Brown Show is brought to you by Carl's Arcade. Live your adventure today. And Penny's Popsicles. We like popsicle. Well, my friends, the holidays have arrived, and that means it's time for the Zach Brown Show Christmas special. Instead of doing one long episode, we thought we'd break this up into two parts. So let's get things started with part one of my conversation with the Blue Blanket Sports Coats.
Last chance for a bathroom break.
Oh, wait, I think I gotta go.
All right, I want to thank you guys all for being here. I have no idea what to expect with this group of people, but I know it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. So I want to collectively welcome you all to the Zach Brown Show.
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks for having
us. Is that what this is?
So for our listeners, I'd like to introduce you to the band that is the Blue Blanket Sports Coats. And my right-hand man is Corey Jess, the producer of the Zach Brown Show podcast, but also kind of the man in the chair, as it were, on synth and bass and guitar and vocals and really anything else. Corey, say hey to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here.
Then we got the drummer. Yeah, we got our drummer, Trevor Carmack.
Hey, how's it going?
We have Jonathan Louvren, but you can call him Louvy, who did pretty much anything with strings and random shouts in the backgrounds of things. Louvy, welcome to the Zach Brown Show.
This time I won't be shouting as much as I did in the album.
Thank God. We have Seth Hansen coming in with acoustic, a little bit of conducting, and some lead vocals on a couple of the tracks. So Seth, welcome to the show.
Thanks, bro. What's up, everybody?
And then last but not least, the honorary unofficial member of the Coats, my brother, Aaron Brown, who basically was our documentarian. Is that a word? I don't know. He filmed the whole thing. And I think did a couple background vocals on this thing. So Aaron, welcome to the show.
I do sing sometimes.
Sometimes I do. So this whole crazy thing, first, the band title is a little long. It's a mouthful and it's confusing. When we started thinking about what we wanted to do for Christmas projects, I said, well, let's come up with kind of a clever name that is, you know, a callback to something that everybody already knows. And so nothing is more classic Christmas than the Charlie Brown Christmas special. And, you know, Linus doesn't go anywhere without his blanket, and Lucy made fun of him for his blanket. And, you know, what was he going to do when he, you know, got older? What was he going to do with his stupid blanket? And he said, maybe I'll turn it into a sport coat. So the name was born, the Blue Blanket Sports Coats. And a buddy of ours, Chase Kuhnhausen, he and I were sitting around and he goes, wouldn't it be fun if we made a Christmas song? And I was like, that's crazy. And he goes, no, let's do it. So we started knocking around ideas and we wrote this song called I'm Getting Ready for Christmas. And we recorded it and it was really fun. And then that kind of snowballed and it turned into this concept album, which was our first album, Mr. Dowd's Christmas Pageant. And that is available on Bandcamp. You can check it out there. And it's kind of fun because it's all kinds of friends of ours and classic songs and songs that we wrote. It was just something that we put out there just to test the waters and see our response and see what was going to happen. So some time passed and we were all kind of saying, wasn't that fun when we did that whole Christmas project? Maybe we should look at doing that again. And Seth and I were working together at the time, and I'm pretty sure it was Seth who came to me and said, let's do this. Let's write a song. And so, you know, on breaks and, you know, after work, we'd sit down and kind of just jot down ideas and started formulating this song, Run for Your Life. And we got all the guys together and just started brainstorming, and it kind of evolved from there. So, guys, what was your original, thoughts about the Christmas album? And we'll kind of go in the order that you were introduced. So, Corey, what were your initial thoughts when I said let's do another album?
I was definitely super excited about it. We had always done similar stuff together, like in the past, you know, with the band and our own like kind of projects at like church together and all that fun stuff. So for us to do a Christmas album with all of our friends and family and stuff, it just seemed natural. It was cool.
Yeah, and Corey had been on the first one, so it was kind of old hat and coming in and jumping back in the saddle. But then we have Trevor, who was new to the band and this Christmas project. So this was his first time with what we refer to ourselves as the Coats. So Trevor, what was it like coming into something that was kind of already on the road and on doing its thing, but then coming in and making it your own?
Yeah, definitely. I think joining was something really fun and exciting just because I had shoes to fill. I didn't know much about those shoes and who wore them. If I remember correctly, I think that was one of the first times that I kind of started to meet, a couple of the other people in this band. So it was definitely a lot of fun, but definitely a challenge to try to get to know everybody, know what everyone's expecting, and meet those expectations while also, just wanting to enjoy the whole thing and be as best as I could for it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Definitely some challenges along the way, for sure.
Yeah, and to your point, more than just everybody's expectations, but learning how to gel with everybody, finding everybody's personalities there. Who does that person become when they're really tired and it's 3 a.m. and you haven't got the take right yet? It's a huge thing. I've always said there's 2 things that will really make or break a friendship: is when you go on vacation with somebody or when you make an album with them, because you really find out if you want to spend any more time with them for the rest of time. So our first album, we recorded mostly at a local studio here in town that was owned by Luvy's dad. And so this one was a little different. We recorded at Corey's home studio, Space Cabin Studios in Pensacola. And but Luvy, again, was in part of that first project. But we were really trying to take what we'd done before and just knock this project out of the park. So, Jonathan, what was it like for you taking on a second project?
I really enjoyed it. In fact, it kind of seeing the progression going from the studio. I haven't recorded anything in a long time, especially something as big as a project like this, especially for how small of a group it was. It wasn't with a bunch of students, or even my dad helped out, which was really fun. Just seeing us go from the DME studios to what was it? It was Cecil House, Match Count, and then to Corey's place. It was just kind of like taking little bits and pieces from recording. And then when we finally sat down to record the Christmas album, it was definitely a step forward in the right direction. Definitely enjoyable. It was all of this running around on like, we want to try to be different. So let's see what everybody could learn. It wasn't just one person. It was just like, can you try this? Can you learn this? Everybody had their own style on the same instrument, but overall it all sounded and it went over really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Seth had kind of been an unofficial member of the first group. Like he kind of sang on background on certain things, but wasn't there the whole time. The first one was a much tighter, smaller group putting it together. But, Seth had kind of like, again, was guest vocals on different tracks. And I really wanted to bring him in kind of full time, as it were, to this second part. And so Seth became a very integral part. Again, like he and I were writing songs together, original, music for this album. Seth, what was it like going again from this kind of part-time, kind of on the sidelines role to much more down in the trenches and on the front line?
So I remember the inception of the idea and the first groundwork that we ended up doing on the first album was at a vacant house that my parents owned, and we dubbed that, I think Luvy said it is Match Count Studios. And so, like you said, I wasn't involved super in the production of it, but I do remember the sort of inception of the idea. And so sort of us bouncing around and doing a little bit of writing. And one thing I always thought about the first album was that I wish that we had been able to implement more original ideas we did the one original song on Mr. Dowd's Christmas Pageant, and then the rest of it was sort of just let's just take the Christmas songs that we like, and just whatever we can come up with, we're going to make it our own. And so going into the second album, you were starting to write Run for Your Life. And I remember working on that with you. And then I was thinking like, hey, like, why don't we write more? Why don't we try to kind of take this thing up another level and put some more original content in there? And so, I ended up writing More to Christmas with you. And then we pulled Arthur in, and in a Starbucks, drinking some really gross burnt pumpkin spice lattes. But so Starbucks really has the bar set though. But yeah, so I think that, for me personally, what I wanted to bring to the table was that sort of original side to really just push us in that direction and to make this our own in a way that we hadn't before.
Well, I think that, like you're saying, that it's a whole nother direction. It really caused us to stand out on this one. And, writing a song is not an easy task, especially for somebody that's not doing it all the time. And, pretty much everybody in this, this chat, we've all been a part of that writing process and creating something from nothing, which is the most exciting and scary thing at the same time. But I think that was the turnkey to this whole thing, because it was just going to be like, oh, let's just do this single and have a great time and put it out. And another guy that worked with us was Arthur Rocker, who, fans and friends of the show will know Arthur from past episode. Arthur was hanging out, in the shop. He was in a different department than Seth and I were. And I think I texted Corey and I said, what do you think about Arthur doing a song on this? Is that so out of the, blue? And he goes, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but let's see if he'll do it. And I asked Arthur.
That was actually the first time that I met Arthur, actually. I never really met him personally before that moment.
And that's another thing. I think it'll be a very common theme you'll hear through this album recording process, that a lot of those guys that played on this album didn't know every single player in the band, but we all gelled together to make this one project. It was really fantastic. So I said, Arthur, what do you think about doing a Christmas song? You've written different rap songs and hip hop tracks and whatever. I said, what do you think about writing a Christmas song? And he goes, yeah, I think so. Maybe I'll try that out. And he came back to me, I want to say like 2 days later, with like the first two verses. And I was like, wow, okay, he's serious. So I remember talking to the guys and I said, hey, Arthur's going to do this track. We need to figure something out. And it started just snowballing from there. No, theme pun intended, but it was just like, hey, well, what if we do this song? Oh, I really like this Christmas song. And I think the list that we eventually all compiled was way longer than the album actually ever was. I mean, there were things that we half recorded. And, looking back, I was like, wait, didn't we start trying to record like the Drifters version of White Christmas? And it kind of just fell through. And that Christmas Time Is Here, that kind of got short and that fell through. But it was a great process that I loved watching the whole thing evolve. And so to set the scene, East Hill in Pensacola is the neighborhood that's like where all like the hippies and the hipsters, all the cool cats are living in these old 1920s, 1950s houses. But it's great. So Corey is living, in this big house in the downtown area. So we're surrounded by all this history and all of the just the great little restaurants and bistros and coffee shops. And it was the coolest place to go hang. And so because Corey had the biggest place and all of the equipment, naturally, that's where we went to record. But you can't record on an empty stomach. So where do you go? You got to go get pizza. And the greatest joint around the corner was a place that we called Chubby's.
Chubby's.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Well, it's under a different name now. Yeah, it's under new management. It's called East Hill Pizza now.
Look them up. Give them your business. The greatest thing about
I'll go
Chubby's
tell
was
him.
that it was greasy pizza. They only made it in one size, and they would have it ready for you in like 20 minutes. And you would call and, you know, the debate of, do you put pineapple on pizza or do you not? I am in the camp that, yes, you put pineapple on your pizza.
Amen.
Yes.
We consumed more cheese, dough, and tomato sauce in like 4 months than I think anybody should, you know, smartly do. Do you guys have any memories from just kind of the runs to go get snacks and food in the neighborhood?
Oh God.
It was only a little short walk away.
That was
Like,
the best part.
Yeah.
Right there. Like I can just like walk a few blocks down to this little pizza place, and so good.
It was usually that and trip down over to Publix.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about the city grocery right next to it, the sandwich place. We got some subs there.
I think that was the super cool part about it is, you know, you'd spend 6 hours recording, well, at least what felt like sometimes, and then being able to take that walk and like go outside actually, and just everyone can chill. We would all like ride our skateboards or, you know, bike or whatever device we had to, you know, skate up the road, and just like go get a drink or, you know, go get a pizza or something like that. It made it. It wasn't, and was it you were stacking like all the cans that we had of like different sodas or whatever. And so by the end of it, we had like this mountain.
Well, there was, you know, a grocery store, there's City Grocery, and then there's Publix, which for those of you in the North and the West, it's, you know, it's a great grocery chain that we have down here. But it was, you know, ginger ale and Coca-Cola and root beer bottles and whatever liquid container we had. I said, we just need to start collecting these and stack them and see how much we get. And I think by like the second month in, Corey's house was looking like some sort of recycle, like sorting factory. It was really a crazy setup, but we finally had to clean them all.
Some of the clips that we have are like passing by, like just 8 different pizza boxes that are all eaten and like rummaged through, like some from the night before, some from the week after. Like it was a mess.
And it was a blast. Like the house was crazy. So we had the pizza, we had the guy, everybody coming in and out of the door. Corey's roommate at the time had this cat with kind of a little cleft paw, which became all of our buddy, and his or her. It's Tempeh. It was named after like tofu or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
But the
I
other,
think if you look through my Snapchat at the time, I've got at least like 8 hours of just Tempeh videos.
all cat all the time. And the horrible thing was that so many of the guest artists on this album were like severely allergic to cats. So it was basically like, hey, thanks for coming over. Here's the Benadryl, and you know, just go sit in the corner if it gets too bad. Corey, what was it like? Just, you know, for all of us, we could like roll in and come do the projects when we wanted to, and then we got to go home. But for you, it was your home. So what was it like having all these people come in and the cats and the soda and the pizza boxes? What was it like just living in the middle of all that craziness?
Oh, I didn't mind the people. I didn't really care for the cat, but it was good stuff. I didn't mind having to clean up a bunch of junk after every recording session.
The neighbors definitely minded.
Having the copious amounts of bottle cans strewed around the house for like a couple months or something like that, just for show. No, it was all cool. It was all worth it. We all had so much fun. It was so cool to just invite everybody over, and you know, we did more goofing off and hanging out all together than we really did like getting down to business.
I think we could have probably recorded that album in half the amount of time if we would have not been like running around and doing all the crazy stuff that we did. But I really think that that's where like I don't know, the energy came from. You know what I mean? I mean, there'd be so many moments where we'd be recording stuff live and Trevor would be with the drum set in the living room and Luvi would be in this back room with like his amp and his pedal board. And I'd be doing vocals in another room. And, you know, Trevor, you can kind of speak to this of just how those sessions would go.
Yeah. You mean just like, just with all the people and just everyone doing everything at different times. Yeah, for sure. It was a little crazy. The good part was that my drums are loud enough that I could just play and it didn't matter what anyone else was doing. No, but you know, you're exactly right. I specifically remember a moment where I think it was Seth was trying to like finish writing part of the song while Luvi was like recording his guitar parts. Jordan Christie was like probably figuring out his solo on one. And, you know, Arthur's sneezing in the corner over the cat, you know.
Aaron's filming all of it and I'm eating pizza in the back.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Everyone's always doing something productive or not. But I think that was the fun of it, was just like, it was almost like a college dorm and at certain points, just because, you know, like we mentioned, there's food everywhere. There's drinks everywhere. It's a mess. There's a cat somewhere. There was another cat at one point that kept getting inside. Didn't know where that one came from.
I remember walking in, or I don't remember, we walked in because we knew about the little cat. And then all of a sudden, like we came back at one time and opened the door and there was this other cat that looked very similar to the small cat. And so it was like, you walked in, you're like, oh my gosh, the cat's huge. What happened?
Yeah, my roommate had 2 cats, but yeah, the big cat mostly stayed outside, ran around the neighborhood.
2 cats that we knew about.
That's right. We knew about 2
Yeah,
cats.
really. Yeah. Well, you know, I have a conspiracy. Ever since, you know, we were recording and you know, the cats were, you know, living with me and stuff. Ever since then, there have been a multitude of cats over the years, you know, coming in and out of my yard. So I'm thinking
they have like a spare key. They're just coming in and out of your room.
Yeah. It's now known amongst the cat community that my house is the party house, and they all feel invited into my yard
the album
to hang out.
So Corey comes home and cats are on the ceiling and on the fan. And
We'll be right back after this message. Handcrafted under sunshine and fireworks, Core Memory Candles brings a level of quality that honors the Disney scents that they capture. Now, your home or office can smell just like some of your favorite attractions and resorts. Whether it's flying over the crystal clear waters of Fiji, sailing past a band of merry pirates, or stepping through the doors of the Great Ceremonial House, the Walt Disney World Resort is chock full of memorable smells that stay with you long after you've returned home. Fortunately, Core Memory Candles has found a way to capture those smells and will send them right to your front door. Also available in wax melts and fragrance oils. But wait, you can also get face mask and fabric refresher sprays. I've personally bought many different scents and I can't wait to try more. You can get yours at CoreMemoryCandles.com. Core Memory Candles. Breathe, be home.
And in the midst of it, I had my brother, bless his heart, with a camera and just basically documenting everything going on. So Aaron, for you, you know, not being a person that was making music with the group, but being very much a part of the production of this whole project, what was your perspective of everything going on?
Very long nights. Because I rode with you over to Corey's house. So it'd be like half asleep and you're like, record this, like get some shots of this. So I'd be like half asleep on the bed, like holding up the phone, trying to get something useful out of this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there were many nights
Like
that we
I
were
said,
over there
lots of
and I
cat
looked over
videos.
and it was like, it's 2 a.m. Do we have the take yet? Can we go home? You know, I've dismissed other people. I've got work in like 4 hours. I need to try to get some sleep in the midst of that. So let's kind of walk through the album. And I don't have the track list pulled up, so if anybody can correct me if I'm like missing the order of anything. But our album opens up with the Winter Prelude. And that was a very soft piano piece that I wrote. It was a very like meaningful song to me. And, you know, music comes out of special places in your life. And this song just was one of the songs that kind of dropped into my head. And I feel like I wrote in 10 minutes. and we recorded it. Again, it was one of those 2 a.m. recording sessions, and everybody had gone home. It was quiet, and it was just Corey and I and Aaron documenting in the background. But we just sat at the piano and laid it down, and it was this beautiful thing. And I remember looking at him and I said, I think this should be the opener. And instead of coming out of the gate with this big boom, I said, let's just start with this really beautiful piece, you know? And so that kicks off the album, you know, this kind of overly silly and goofball album. We start with this really pretty song. So we come to the second track, and I love this one. This is a fun track. And Stevie Wonder's What Christmas Means to Me has always been a fun, plucky tune. And every time I think about it, I think about that scene in Elf where Buddy and his brother are like jumping on the beds in the department stores and everything. And I remember going like, this is just such a fun song, and people don't do this song. And, you know, we had to do our own take. We didn't want to make it exactly Stevie Wonder's, obviously. We wanted to have our own fun. And so, you know, it's kind of a bass and a simple guitar lead at the beginning, but Luvi kind of went for a much more rocked up version on the front end. So, John, if you want to kind of talk about your process of taking something that was known and making it your own.
Ooh, that was, I think, knowing all of our, like, exactly what we were going for, which is fair. It's not necessarily rock and roll style, but that's my style. A lot of my music, I would like to take a lot of normal pieces. Either it's like, I don't know, I like to put a little bit of a rock and roll twist to it.
Sure.
So I remember sitting down and constantly you're sitting here looking. Yeah. And I remember it'd be probably like 2:00 in the morning, and Aaron's over on the side stacking LaCroix cans and knocking them over with the cat. But,
I'm knocking them over with the cat.
Yeah, he was bowling the cat into the cans.
But no
animals were harmed in the making of this album. Just want to make a little disclaimer there.
I remember that.
What was the flavor? Pamplemousse?
Pamplemousse, grapefruit. It's my favorite.
Great band.
I remember constantly sitting. We had the sound in our head, we wanted to put a twist to it. And of course, with how massive my pedal rig was, I mean, we had every sound under the sun. And it was just tinkering. Like it was hit record, try this. No, it didn't sound right. Hit record. No, that doesn't sound right. And
yeah,
I think it was either a slip or something. There's one of the songs where I slipped on it, but then you looked at me and we all looked at each other and thought, that actually sounds really good. We're going to keep it. And I think it was that song, but either way, we wanted to kind of get away from the original.
Yeah.
Still kind of give it that recognizable, oh, I know this song, but I like it. You know how sometimes you listen to a song and some people make covers of it and it's just like, I like the cover a lot better. That's what I want it to be.
Nice.
The original was very like big band oriented, and we kind of made it more sort of like just kind of rock oriented, you know, with like a heavier guitar and a lot of like heavier drums and everything. And we definitely tweaked around with some of the instrumentation, some of the instruments that from the original like Stevie Wonder portion.
Well, like, you know, so much of Stevie Wonder's music, he incorporates his harmonica. And so, you know, none of us play harmonica, at least well. And, you know, Corey was able to jump in with his work on the keys and all of his synth stuff and, you know, kind of a harmonica-ish sound. It was more like a melodica or whatever that you hear at the beginning of The Office. And, you know, he just went to town.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think it was also there were so many songs there were so many songs that were they were slow, but they were written well. It was either gloomy or it wasn't just enough. We just wanted more of a rock and roll style feel to it. Just kind of bring more of that genre into the Christmas.
Yeah. To liven it up a little bit.
Definitely. All right. What's our next track? Does anybody have the album list?
Well, definitely a fun one. probably one of your favorites, Zach, Run for Your Life.
Well, I'm a little biased because I wrote the dang thing, but it's kind of funny how songs they have one sound in your head, and then as you're recording it, you're trying to chase an overall sound that's close to that, but it ends up being different. And then what happens is the ultimate ending product is its own complete other thing. So when you hear the completed project and you listen to the inspiration that you use, and you're like, these are nothing alike each other. But, we started with some song by like Stan Bush or something from the 80s, Never Surrender. If you're a fan of the Goldbergs, they play that a lot. And if you listen to that and Run for Your Life, you're like, these aren't alike. This sounds like a really juiced up Neil Diamond song, if anything. And we just kind of
turned it into like Twisted Sister if they made a Christmas song.
They did. They have a whole Christmas album.
Yeah.
So it's basically the song where we just wrote, look, Christmas is fun. It's wonderful. But we've all have those family members and those memories that you go, dear God, I can't do it again. And so I said I wanted to write kind of not the anti-Christmas song, but just that, good Lord, we have to get together again song. Yes, the realism of the Christmas season. And that was fun. And again, that was something where, Luvi was just killing it on like rhythm electric, and Trevor just going nuts on drums. And then we had our buddy Jordan Christie come in and guest spot and play some just screaming guitar leads for the middle and the ending of the song. So again, we want to thank Jordan for coming in and just bringing his own flavor and adding, because Jordan's got a fun kind of Southern rockabilly feel that can rival any guitarist, and really just added a nice touch to that track.
Yeah, he did such a good job.
Any thoughts on that song?
I remember when we came in and you were like, I got a song idea. And then when you started playing, and when you just started kind of like explaining what you wrote, kind of like the route that you wanted to take it, the first thing that I thought in my mind was, oh my God, this is what's going to happen in my life in about 3 weeks. It took about a year to kind of do the whole thing. But I mean, yeah, it was the scene that ran through my mind every time we hit record was was from Home Alone. Just like every kids run down the hallway, and just like, it's like, that is my emotion. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just kind of like, oh Lord, every time I do listen to the song, and that's the movie that first pops into my mind. It's just pure chaotic
Pandemonium.
Yeah, it's nonstop. Mom's over in the corner having a mimosa, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And, the dogs are also hiding under the bed. The aunts and uncles and grandmas are fighting. And it's just like, this is mayhem. But then once they go home, then it's like peace. It's like peace.
Well, Corey, where do we go after that? Or sorry, Trevor, you had to say something.
Yeah, you're good. I was just going to say, like, I'm watching through all the videos and clips now, so all the memories are so fresh, but I think I told you about it. But watching each individual clip and seeing Jordan come up with the parts, like then and there, you can see the progression of it. And it's just so cool to see. And I think we all did that in our own way, but just to see the progression of each of our parts come together was one cool memory to kind of see the process take place and actually be recorded.
Yeah.
And he just kind of stepped right into it. He just came right over the house, and he was like, all right, I brought my amp and my guitar. What do I do? And, we just set his stuff up real quick and just let him go to town. And
well, it was great because I want to say Jordan recorded on like a Thursday night, because that's usually when we recorded, with Thursdays. And I'd been with Jordan Tuesday morning. And literally Tuesday, those 2 days, I said, here's the demo that we've got so far. Would you listen to this and see if you can put anything to it? And he goes, yeah, sure. So from, Tuesday morning to rolling in, sometime Thursday evening, that's not a whole lot of time to bang out some, thoughts. And, again, like Trevor says, once you go through and trying to work out that process of how it's going to go. And Trevor, he mentioned that he's been editing this stuff. All the footage that Aaron took through the months and months long process of this album, Trevor's been painstakingly whittling everything down and going to try to put this into a really cool kind of like rockumentary, if you will, that we'll upload on Vimeo or something like that. And we'll link in the show notes and post on the Facebook page. So stay tuned for that. Anybody have any more thoughts about Run for Your Life?
I remember the horror that was Christmas Day.
That's right.
My Apple Watch tells me to breathe every time I listen to it.
Interesting.
I think that's a good representation of how much that song affects me.
Corey, keeper of the list, where are we heading next?
All right. After that, we have Santa's Coming, our little interlude with good old Santa Claus by yours true, not yours truly, but Louvie over there.
His truly. So going back to the first album,
His Majesty.
Yeah, going back to the first album,
Louvie the Great.
we did a cover of Santa Claus is Coming to Town in the style of Bruce Springsteen, and we didn't have Clarence Clemens to do the big deep voice. So I said, who's got like the kind of deepest voice in the room or can lower it down and be all kind of goofy and jolly? And Louis said, I'll take a swing at it. So since he did his own thing, we said, well, he's got to do Santa Claus for the new album. He's got to continue on. And so Louvie played a kind of a mall Santa Claus, and we kind of set it up as kids were like getting to talk to Santa. And then we lead into Arthur's song. I actually had the opportunity to sit down with Arthur and just kind of get his thoughts on the whole recording process. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. So here's my conversation with Arthur. All right, Arthur, you are back in the hot seat, as it were. And it is time to talk about More to Christmas, the Blue Blanket Sport Coat's second album.
Oh, yeah.
The amazing song, Christmas Wish, that you contributed to our album.
Hey, I don't want to, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it's the best song.
On the whole album, or
on the whole album? Okay. If you ask me, yeah.
So I remember I was talking to Corey about this, and I said, we were writing the song, one song on its own. I thought we need to fill this whole thing out a little bit more. What if we do a second track, And I remember coming to you when we were working together, and I said, hey, what do you think about writing a Christmas song? Now, you had never done that before, right?
Nope.
So what were your thoughts on that whole process?
I think it was hard to figure out like a topic, because I feel like they all have been done.
Outside of Christmas.
Outside of Christmas. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to do Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I didn't really know what to talk about or write about.
Well, you had to bring your own flavor, your own flair.
Yeah.
So what, we wrote the song together, you and I, but what's funny is we wrote it separately. You had your part, I wrote mine, and it wasn't, I remember we'd kind of kick the ideas back and forth via like either text message, or if we passed each other in the hallway, at work.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until that first night in the studio that we kind of got to hear it all together, because I had no idea what you were doing. I remember telling the other guys, I'm like, he says he's writing in verses, and I just have to, know it's going to be all right. So what were your thoughts when you first came into the studio and heard like the music portion of the track?
The music portion, when I heard that, I already knew it was going to be a hit, because it sounds just like a Christmas song. And I did not imagine, I don't know, just a rapper, a quote unquote rapper being on, I guess, a track like that. But I don't know. It's really cool.
Because there's really, by and large, there's not many, or if there's many, there's not many famous rap / hip hop Christmas songs. You got Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis, but you really don't hear a lot of tracks that get a lot of play on your usual light rock stations. You know, Mariah Carey and Wham are kind of bogarting all of the radio waves.
Exactly.
So I think for us to come in and do this was like kind of out of left field, but it was like, I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. I think the best part for me was writing about the Christmas wishes and thinking about, okay, I got to think of, because is it 7? I forgot.
Something like
I think
that.
I think it's 7 Christmas wishes. So I had to think of things that I loved. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah. And it was silly, but it was fun. And it had some bounce. I had an absolute blast making the thing, you know, with you and just being in the studio, watching you operate in the way that really only you do. And, you know,
thank you. Yeah.
It was a joy to just have you in that room. And I still feel bad that the allergies from the cat nearly killed me.
Oh yeah. I was going to bring that up. I got super sick because of the cat and I was sneezing and coughing. But we got through it though.
As the night was going on, I was just looking and there were just more and more fluids just pouring out of your face. Yeah. I was like, we've got to get him out of here. He's going to die.
But we did it though.
All in the name of Christmas.
All in the name of Christmas. Hey.
Arthur, just thank you for taking just a few minutes to, just give your voice, your thoughts on this. Do you have any final thoughts, any maybe memory or takeaways or what you want people to walk away with from your contribution to this album?
Now, Christmas Wish is a very complex song, and I talk about very real, deep things. But I want everybody to know my favorite wish, and this is a true wish. I have a crush on Kim Possible, and I used to want to marry her when I was little. And that will never change. But that's all.
We can only go up from here. Artie, you're amazing. Love you, man.
Love you, Zach.
All right. Well, Arthur wrote a song with Ben Kimsel called Serenity, to where basically Arthur wrote all the verses and he had this other guy come in and do, the hook, the chorus in the middle. So I said, let's do the Christmas version of Serenity, where it's, you've got the hip hop choruses and then you've got kind of a Backstreet Boys-esque chorus. And so we figured that out, and it's really fun. It's totally ridiculous. I hope that Trevor is able to include some of just that. I don't know, the hurricane that is Arthur Rocker recording his own hype track. It was everything Corey could do to keep himself from ruining take after take from laughing.
Yeah. We're going to take a break right there and let you go for now. But be sure to keep a lookout for part 2 of our conversation that will come along very soon. What's that? You say you can't wait for the next episode? Well, don't worry. You can go back and listen to all the past episodes on Spotify and iTunes. And while you're at it, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd leave a 5-star rating in iTunes. It's incredibly helpful in getting the show to more listeners, and more listeners mean more new friends. And what better time to make new friends than during the holidays? Don't forget to follow along on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram. There you'll find pictures, videos, and behind-the-scenes sneak peeks at what we have in the works. I'm Zach Brown, and I want you to remember, you could be the positive change that someone is waiting for. Have a good one.